Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Super Mega Riftbound Podcast. We are happy to have you guys back on this fine Saturday. My name is Eli, Riot ID Battle Tested, joined once again over here by Teddy, and we're going to dive into some meta updates, meta shifts happening after the big regional performance from Annie this weekend in Houston.
Hello, everyone. Like Eli said, we're back for episode 2 of the podcast. Eli, you look like you're in a new studio.
Got the I don't know if you can call it a studio here, yeah, Teddy. Not quite a studio. It's my parents' house, actually. I'm setting up for flying out for PPG Orlando tomorrow. My dad's dropping me off at the airport so my wife can use our car. So here I am in my parents' house for the day.
There you go. Well, yes, I'll be back home in a few weeks. You guys will see a new setup of mine for 2 or 3 episodes. But we're here to talk about Riftbound. Obviously, like Eli said, we're going to go over Houston, kind of what happened there, talk about everything to do with that event, how the meta is going to shift from that. But first, as always, we're going to start our episode off by talking about our week in Riftbound. I'm going to kick us off. Obviously, we watched Houston. I think that was one of the bigger things that happened this weekend. Everyone was tuned in. One of the cool things is the skirmish that you were judging and I was working at had Houston on their TV there. So it was really fun to kind of just be able to like stand up and watch for a second and then go do what we needed to do. Really cool. I think one of the things that we both did is we both played our first 2 games.
Yes.
A few days ago, I had a little Renata versus Sivir matchup. We'll talk more in depth about those decks later on, closer to when set 2 releases. But it's really fun to kind of explore new meta, start to see how that is going to play out. And for me, I have 2 more skirmishes, at least in December here. This weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I'll be playing in those. And then I think my biggest announcement is I am 85% sure I am going to Vegas for the event in February, 2 weeks after Spiritforged gets released. So yeah, just if I can get a ticket, an entry ticket, then I am pretty confident that I'll be able to make it out there. I think that's just going to be really fun to be able to be at one of those big events. You know, last week we talked about it, and then like here we are, we're going to be able to make it to one. But Eli, yeah, how was your first week, or how was your last week in Riftbound?
Yeah, last week in Riftbound went really, really solid for me. Like you said, I judged a skirmish, the one that you were able to play in there. Had a great time. It was my, I'm sorry, workout. You're right. I had a great time. Second time judging one of these skirmishes. Everybody in the community is just super welcoming and fantastic, especially when it's a new game. There's a lot of questions going around. Hopefully, we were able to help everyone that we could. So that was a lot of fun. Very, very fun. I am prepped for Orlando this weekend. That was a big part of my week this week, was just making sure I had my deck list solid. I had my game plan, my side plan all planned out and everything, getting the muscle memory of, I played in 2 locals, trying to build the muscle memory of taking notes in my notebook, tracking life in my notebook. I come from Yu-Gi-Oh! And in Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of people use calculators to track life. They also should be using notepads, but a lot of people use calculators. And so using a calculator versus actually physically notating down things is a bit of a change for me. So that was something I had to remind myself to do. It's a great habit to have. So I worked on that this week. I also am looking to hopefully go to Vegas, but I do not know if it's going to be on the judge side or the player side quite yet. We'll have to figure that out, but I'm probably going to apply to judge. If that works out, you'll see me there judging. If not, you'll see me there playing probably. So
hey,
we'll figure that out.
Finals, what a matchup that would be.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that definitely in the field of a couple thousand people or whatever it ends up being, that we'll end up in the finals against each other. You know, it would work out pretty well. But yeah, I loved watching Houston this week. It was incredibly fun. I caught the entire live stream either the day of or just slightly on the day after. Really cool that we saw such deck diversity day one on stream, and I loved that they did that with the metal leaders. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but that helped diversify things quite a bit in the day one, and then day two we got down to the brass tacks, saw Annie take it. Sean Diwali really popping off on that one.
Yeah, it was. I think the thing with Houston is like it's obviously the first North American event, but I think we all were curious to see how it would play out versus or in comparison to like these Chinese events that were for set one.
Yeah,
and how the meta would shift there. We saw Kaisa do so much work, and even Yi, like it was pretty much Kaisa Yi the entire time. But yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it here in a second. But yeah, Houston was really fun. A very productive last week in Riftbound, I'd say, for the both of us, and a very busy weekend coming up. I guess when you guys are listening, if you're listening, I hope you're listening on the way to a skirmish or on the way to an event. Uh, but yeah, a very busy weekend for us, and hopefully a very busy weekend for the Riftbound community. But as Eli said, we are going to be talking about Houston and Houston Review. I want to give a shout out to Lorcana Justice. He does a lot of these stat sheets for Lorcana, but also did this one for Houston. So you have pretty much everything you need to see on here. You have total decks from each champion, top 64, how many were there, meta share, top 64 share, and conversion ratio. So Eli, why don't you break down Houston for us kind of out of the gate? What was the big things, the big takeaways from this event?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, we got to talk about these metal champions that were on the prize wall, right? Before we get into the top 64, before we get into anything else about Houston, there was a huge rush to these metal champions on the prize wall. Day one, from what I heard from people that were at the event, there were people that walked away with full sets of all of the metal champions because they just farmed enough tickets, got their friend to farm tickets. People were selling tickets on the cheap on Friday, walked away with a full set of metal champions, listed them immediately upon walking out of the venue for $2,000 to $3,000 a piece, depending on the leader, of course, and sold all of them.
Yeah.
And after that happened, there was a rush. It was like the gold rush moving to California. You know, everyone was jumping on the train. The ticket prices just kept rising up and up. You even got to the point where people were trading spectator badges for event badges, for actual player badges, because the player badges got into the venue 30 minutes early to get these metal champions on Saturday. Right. Absolutely insane. But when you're talking about that kind of monetary value, I mean, they're 1 in 35, right? Only 35 printed of each metal champion. That's going to be a huge deal. And people definitely picked up on it to the point that Riot had to say, hey, enough is enough. We're making a lottery system for Sunday. Yeah. We're not having people camp outside the venue in their tents that they went out and bought. We're gonna have a lottery system instead. But yeah, absolutely crazy start to the event.
It'll be interesting to see what they do because obviously we don't have another big event like that until Spiritforged. Are they going to bring back set 1 or are they going to have set 2 there? Because it'll be interesting because I think our third event is in May. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know the calendar exactly, but the third big event is in May. So in theory, that could be after set 3's release. So there's a chance that they're just going to say, okay, set 1 is done. It's in the past. Set 2 is here. Or maybe they make the set 2 ones maybe a little bit more harder to get. Maybe it's 1 in 35 for set 2 and then maybe 1 in 70 for set 1 at these events. I don't know what will happen there. It'll be interesting to see if they actually bring back more, or maybe it's flipped. Maybe they do 1 in 70 for the set 2 and 1 in 35 at these events for the set 1 cards.
Well, Riot themselves, apparently, if my sources are accurate, I saw a YouTube video about this that also corroborated this. Riot is aware of the issue and was planning on printing many more metal champions.
Okay, well there you go. There you go.
So we will see if that is the case. If they end up coming in with a couple thousand of these instead of 35,
that would be awesome.
We'll have to figure that out. But on the topic of metal champions, the best of champions were the talk of the weekend. Everyone was competing for one of those special metal champions that they could get for being the best player in the tournament with their champion. It was actually a special collaboration with Displate, the company Displate, to make these metal champions, and they look stunning. They look absolutely stunning. If you go to Gorika's Twitter account, Gorka has a amazing video of the best of Teemo posted on the Twitter account. Looks stunning, gorgeous, amazing. Excellent job by Displate. Excellent job by Riot making these.
They're awesome.
Everybody wanted them.
Yeah. It's cool too. We had 2 come back to the Indianapolis area. Like I think Eli and I are very passionate about this Indianapolis scene. We had 2 Gilwins, who I think everyone knows on the Nexus cast, came back with Yasuo, and then Gorka, who is another indie local, came back with Teemo. Spoiler alert, they're going to be on a Super Mega Riftbound podcast episode here soon, so be on the lookout for that. But it was just really cool to see those 2 win their metal prize cards. But then, like when you look at especially like this deck breakdown, 13 Garens going up against each other. And obviously Garen's not a great leader, so it's not going to go as much as probably like the Kaisa or Annie metal card did. But they're still going to go for a pretty penny. There's still going to be a very expensive card. People will pay for them. We've seen what happened with the side event metal cards. People paid money for them. The biggest difference is these were foiled and the side event ones were not, or the prize ones were not, if I'm not mistaken.
So I would real quick, I wouldn't necessarily say they aren't foiled because both of them are metal, right?
I
So
guess
they
that's
definitely,
fair.
yeah, it's just they're textured in a different way and they're
Oh,
made in a
okay.
different way, I think would be the best way to describe it. If you look at these videos that have been
Yeah.
posted, and the display collaboration ones look absurdly good. And if you've ever seen any displayed metal posters before, you know that they do good work. They knocked this out of the park. It looks amazing.
Hey, so when's like the big like we need like a jumbo sized metal card for the prize wall.
That's the next thing. Like they do
Just right
giant
here. Oh,
cards in
you
other
guys can't
games.
see it on this. Oh, I guess you can see it. If you look right here, just a nice giant metal card on my wall would be great.
Yeah,
Uh,
that would definitely make the set for us for sure. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. But aside from the metal cards, right, the
mhm.
rest of the weekend went spectacularly. We already talked about Sean Diwali winning with Annie. We'll get into that deck list here shortly. But first, let's go over this top 64 breakdown that we've got going on right now. So a lot to talk about with the top 64. If you
Mhm.
look on screen right now, you can see the actual differences between these decks and which ones were able to break through, which ones were not. Importantly, we saw Annie, Kaisa, and Misfortune Aurora, as well as Yi being the top conversions here. I'm sorry, Misfortune Aurora specifically was a
Yeah.
big surprise to a lot of people coming into the event. Kind of flew under people's radar, but the conversion rate for that deck actually being the highest conversion rate into top 64 here. That's
Which is
absolutely massive.
yeah, I know. And if you look at the numbers, it's half a like I don't even know if it's percentage. I think it's percentage probably one. It's probably percentage, like half a percentage point. The next highest was Annie with 1.58, and then we have Misfortune at 2.08. Like that's a big jump. I know obviously there was only 59 Misfortune compared to 122 Annie, but to have nearly the same amount of Misfortune getting into day two as Annie did is something to say about the deck, and
Yeah.
probably it's you always have those decks that are people are going to be testing like we feel really good about this, and they go in and they're right. There's always going to be those people who find the secret sauce and don't share anything. They don't let it slip until and then they play it at the event, and then people are like, oh my gosh, what happened? And that's kind of
Yeah.
probably that was our reaction. Like, where did this come from? I know like you've played Misfortune before, Eli. The deck's good, but I don't know if you thought it was this good.
No, I also played a different version of Misfortune. I'm not an Aurora enjoyer myself. So I was playing a more aggro version of the list, but the Aurora list specifically has a lot of tools that really put it ahead of some other Aurora lists. So Yi Aurora being the premier Aurora list at this point, we see Misfortune have tools to have board clear with bullet time. We see some of them running a little gear package where you can run scrap heap and acceptable losses and Book of Wonders and Treasure Trove, I believe it's called.
Mhm.
That's a little package that some of them are running. The top MF list coming out of Swiss did not run that package and instead opted into just having a little bit more of a removal suite. Their top end is super solid. They can play the Dead Bloom Predators, of course, and Aurora colors, but they can also play things like Soul Gorger, and they can play things like
Mind Splitter.
Mind Splitter. Exactly. That allows that top end to really have a high impact. And then obviously a big winner from them is going to be Sabotage as well. So they just have a lot of interaction and interruption that they can present in the early game. And that really has put MF Aurora into a spot where the competent players on the deck are very much to be feared in these events. I'm interested to see if that's going to the conversion rate that's happened impact the meta moving forward. It might mean that those Aurora decks slip back up the tier list a little bit, and we might
As
see
Victor players, cross your
yeah,
finger.
cross your fingers, cross your fingers. But you might also see Annie and Kaisa leveling
Yeah.
there as well. Annie, a lot of people have been saying is the best deck coming out of this. I'm not so convinced. I think that Sean Diwali just played that deck excellently. Of course,
Mhm.
we didn't have a Kaisa in the top four. We had Annie, three Annies and a Yi in the top four. But I do think that Kaisa is still in a good spot. I think that the Annies just kind of figured out the matchup a little
Yeah.
bit. So we'll see if Kaisa comes back, changes their suite a little bit, and can compete when it comes to that. But big talk as well. Yi coming back into the forefront. A lot of
Mhm.
people were kind of souring on Master Yi, but after these tournament results, I don't think that's going to be the case. Master Yi putting on an excellent performance, taking second place in the event. We're starting to see these conversion sides as well, moving from a Master Yi that was a little bit frail when you were playing the Aurora list, right? Now you're seeing the Aurora list and the mid-range list both having conversion sides to turn into one another depending on the matchup. So very interesting development there from the Master Yis, and it carried quite a few of them pretty far in this tournament, especially if we see an uptick in Annie after the high result winning the tournament. Yi being Annie's natural counter in the meta could see a little bit of an uptick as well. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we had 4 Annies in the top 8. I think that is obviously something we talked about. For those who don't know, it was 4 Annies, 2 Kaisas, and 2 Yis. And I think when I look at, like, obviously, I think we had the 3 clear top decks, and those are the 3 that are in the green here: Kaisa, Master Yi, and Annie. The 3 decks that everyone were like, okay, these are the favorites. Either 3 of these could win. I think everyone probably had the premonition on that. Something that I've realized is I think the Annie players were on the bottom of that 3, so they had to work extra hard to figure out how to beat these decks, and then Kaisa and Yi didn't know at some extent to what these Annie decks may be doing to try to beat them, uh, in that higher stuff at that higher peak, with what Annie was trying to look for to do and all of their combat tricks that they have. So I think that's why, like you said, Annie, you're not convinced. I'm not convinced totally either. I still think Kaisa is extremely good. I still think Yi is extremely good, especially like you were saying, when they can basically switch their entire deck with their sideboard. Uh, so I think Annie just figured out the meta before Yi and Kaisa players did. Maybe they got a little comfortable playing obviously like what is after everything in China was supposedly the best deck, and they got. But yeah, I think it was just a really interesting to see everything that came out of this. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm still in shock about Misfortune. I'll be honest. Like, it's still like so baffling to me. I'm like, that if I were to pick a deck that would have done that, it probably would have been Set or Teemo to have the highest conversion rate. Misfortune was not on my radar at all. So,
Yeah, I mean, looking at it though, right? You're hitting on the Set
yeah.
point. Set didn't even make day 2 here.
Mhm.
We saw a lot of a different spreads of decks here. We saw a Yasuo day 2, a Volibear day 2, a Lee Sin in the hands of Jeff Jones day 2, but we saw no Set players day 2, even though there were multiple very highly regarded Set players in this tournament, and that's something to keep an eye on. Obviously, Set performed very, very well at the 10Ks the weekend before,
Mhm.
but not showing up at this regional may mean the meta share for Set is going to dip back down, which would be a breath of fresh air for some of these decks in the meta.
Yeah, I think Set has really good matchups into a few things. Uh, Obviously, I think has a pretty favorable matchup into Kaisa. I would think just with how many buffs you can do. Kaisa, sure, you have your falling stars and you have all the red stuff, but if you're able to put if Set's able to buff things and get it above 3, the falling star is just becomes a little bit right. Falling star, I'm not getting that mixed up. It's the one that deals 3 twice, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm trying to think of what I'm getting that mixed up with. Uh, but I think Set obviously has some favorable matchups, but if Set doesn't see, it's always interesting to see like how this is going to affect a local moto, but also we have some big money tournaments in PPG Orlando this week, and how is it going to change that? What's going to show up there? Are people going to change their minds? Be interesting to see if uh Sean Dwally brings Annie, because I think he mentioned he's going to be there, so it'll be interesting to see how this really changes things. Yeah. Also, I want to mention this event. This event coverage was amazing.
Oh yeah.
The graphics on the broadcast were great. The announcers were awesome. Obviously, they had a few of their game developers on there, which is really cool to kind of hear that. And we talked about it last week, is to hear their perspectives on the game. That obviously, as someone who isn't living and breathing that game like they do, it's really cool to hear their perspectives. I was going back and watching some of day 2, and I still am trying to just get my way through day 2 when I have some free time. But it's really cool just to hear their perspectives behind it. Yeah, Eli, what were your thoughts on event coverage and all that?
I absolutely loved it. I was talking about last week. So, a little bit of background on myself. I used to do semi professional League of Legends casting, right? So, good commentary is really near and dear to my heart. I think that good commentary can completely make a community and make a game. And we started out on a great foot here. We have Casanova, who I think is probably just one of the best card game commentators out there currently. I think Casanova does an excellent job breaking things down and really feeding people into where they should lead, especially when you have some of these game producers that might not be commentary people first, right? So they
Mhm.
really need that kind of hand to lead them in. I thought Casanova did an excellent job with that. A lot of information coming our way, but all presented in a way that new players could understand on the broadcast, which is also very important for a brand new TCG. No dead time in between games almost at all, which
Mhm.
if you've ever watched any Yu-Gi-Oh event coverage, you know they go to break for like 40 minutes at a time. It's absolutely ridiculous. So great job there. They took a book out of Magic the Gathering's page. They've been doing that recently and been doing a great job with that as well. We also got some Magic casters and some other people that pulled over from other card games. We saw a lot of people moving over from other card games in general. The top
To
64
play,
breakdown,
yeah.
a lot of Flesh and Blood players in that top 64, some Pokemon players. Jeff Jones, obviously one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh players of all time. Lot of good card game players in general in this top 64 doing commentary. It seems like this game is a little bit of a melting pot of
Yeah.
TCGs currently, and that is just great to see. Everyone I talked to said they had an excellent time at the event, an excellent time listening to the coverage. However they consumed this content, they really enjoyed it. So I think that is a huge positive for Riot Games moving forward. And if they could continue to have that strong coverage and capitalize on it in such a way, this might just be the best coverage game out of any TCG.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they just I mean, and it's just only gonna get better. It's Riot. They know how to put on
Right.
their events. We've voiced it multiple times. They know what they're doing. Yeah, awesome event coverage. And before we move on to kind of how this meta is gonna shift, we do want to give credit to the winner, Sean Dwally. This is his list up on screen. He played Annie. It feels like a pretty stock Annie list.
Teddy, I'm gonna interrupt you right there. Stock Annie list. Oh, we got some stuff in here. Let me tell you. All right,
Okay, maybe besides the Void Seekers. I don't.
uh, Draven in the sideboard. Check out those Dravens. Draven
uh,
has shown up in almost zero Annie lists, and
I
yet
guess that's
Draven is in the
fair.
sideboard of this one, looking really strong on the end. It essentially lets Annie play more of an honest game plan, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of the Annies, you're getting to 6 points, your Vi ride to win. That's your win condition, right? That's how you're getting through the game. That's how you're winning the game. But this list can side in the Dravens. And then all of a sudden you have the two angles, right? Because you're already at 6 points. You're dropping the Draven. The Draven's absolutely massive. And then you're also still threatening Vi ride the wins. So you have this kind of dichotomy happening. The Draven inclusion was absolutely stellar. I loved it. And then, of course, you see the scrap heap that's become rather meta
Mhm. Yeah.
at this point. But definitely hit to note. Scrap Heap makes Annie lists. It was not in initial Annie lists, but has been popularized. Incredible card. And then we see the Rebukes are the other thing I want to point out. We see Rebuke in the main and Rebuke in the side. Showed up on stream this weekend in a huge way, specifically in the Gale wins Yasuo feature match. The double Rebuke was absolutely nasty, but we saw Rebukes as well. We got a Sean Dwally in the attempt to win the tournament, which did succeed. So congrats to Sean. Really unique Annie list that him and his team formulated that allowed them to win the event.
Okay, so maybe not a fully stocking list. I'll rescind my comment. I didn't look at the sideboard before I said that, so apologies. But yes, very cool list. Very awesome to see. I was rooting for Annie. I know last week. Who did I say? What did I say? Did I say Kaisa was gonna win? Was that my prediction?
I believe you said Kaisa was going to win.
Yeah.
I don't actually remember what I said was going to win.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't either. That's okay.
Well, we'll have
We'll
to
go
go.
back and we'll watch the
Yeah,
VOD. Figure
yeah.
it
There we go.
out.
But yeah, again, a huge congrats to Sean for winning. But yeah, we're gonna stay here, stay in this scene. We're gonna leave this up on screen for you guys to look at if you want to. But we're gonna talk about now how the meta shifts. Obviously, there's going to be a lot that changes after this. We have Annie winning, so Annie, as our title is called, Annie dominance. Is Annie going to get more dominant? Are we going to see more Annie show up at these bigger events? Eli, you'll be in the room for PPG Orlando. We will hopefully see the shares of the Friday events, which maybe will influence Saturday and Sunday events to see what happens there. Uh,
Definitely.
and then you have Will, Kaisa, and Yi maybe drop off a little because Annie is so popular, and is Annie going to take up those Kaisa numbers? I don't think they will. I think Kaisa's still going to be the top. I don't think Kaisa and Yi are going anywhere, but I know that's something I've seen posted. on Reddit, which is probably not the greatest place to be scrolling for this game, but I was scrolling it, and I'm like, "Oh, people are saying Kai'Sa and Yi." No. They're gonna stick around. But yeah, Eli, again, initial thoughts on how this is going to change the meta, how Houston really is going to envelop PPG Orlando and then the rest of the set one meta.
Yeah, so I'm comfortable discussing this because I'm going to be playing in PPG Orlando when this goes live. So we'll see if my meta predictions are accurate in real time. But in my personal opinion, I think we're going to see Annie go on the rise a little bit. Annie, very, very strong deck, incredibly well piloted. We saw, of course, 3 Annies in the top 4, and I know multiple people that have picked up Annie just based off the results of Houston, right? Because we're still going to be in this set 1 meta for quite a while until we finally get to Spiritforged. So
February seems so far away.
So far away, I know. But Annie being the premier aggro deck in the format is going to warp things a little bit. So Yi, of course, a big answer into Annie. We saw the Yi fall to Annie in the finals, but that was after beating 2 Annies in a row to get there. So definitely a strong deck into Annie. The rebukes changed that matchup a little bit. So when Annie has access to rebuke, you sometimes can just sneak out wins, but Yi still does have a favorable matchup. So we're going to see Yi probably come on the rise as well. Now, what happens if Yi comes on the rise? Well, we're going to see if it's Aurora Yi or if it's mid-range Yi. Mid-range Yi is better into Annie. Aurora Yi is better into Kai'Sa. So I think we're going to continue to see these conversion sides happening for the Master Yi deck. And if we see these conversion sides happening, it's going to try to get parity and points in both of those matchups. However, we're going to see if more decks decide, hey, mid-range is better to start off with, just in case I play that Annie, or if we're still going to see more Kai'Sa, and in that case, we want to start with the Aurora deck. Yeah. So that's the decision that you have to make in the camp of Master Yi currently. Moving on from those 2 decks, Kai'Sa underperforming for people this weekend. That does not mean the deck is bad. The deck will still be there, very much represented, probably still top 2 represented deck, I would imagine. Could move to top 3, but most likely will still be top 2 represented deck, especially since, you know, people already put money into this deck. That's a big factor for it. Cards are still expensive. Like, you don't want to go out and get an entirely new deck unless you are at the upper echelon of the game or have a sponsor or something like that that can get those cards for you. So we probably are going to see Kai'Sa stay pretty relevant here. Of course, the deck is also just very strong, in my personal opinion, one of the top 2 decks. But I think that you can make an argument for any of these top 3. And how that is going to shift the meta, Kai'Sa is going to be a little bit down. Set might fall off completely because we saw Set not do anything this weekend. So until we get another strong Set result, most likely that deck will fall down the ladder. That means that decks that can, 1, play well into Annie or have a 50-50 matchup with Annie are going to do okay. We're going to see decks that have a positive matchup into Yi start to creep up as well. So you might see some share moving toward things like Victor, for example, where Victor has a lot of answers into Annie and also has a lot of answers into Master Yi while performing badly against Kai'Sa the majority of the time, other than the really cool Victor list we saw from Houston that was just a full teched out anti-Kai'Sa list. That list was very, very cool. Congratulations to the top Victor player, best of Victor player. But if those 2 decks creep up to the top as Annie and Yi and Kai'Sa takes a little bit of a downturn, we could see Victor creep up. We could see a lot more misfortune. If we see a lot of misfortune, Victor also creeps up the list at that point, right? Because that's another Aurora deck to prey on.
So are we biased, or are we just really good at knowing what's going to happen?
I will fully admit my bias, but I do think that Victor is actually going to get a little bit of meta share after the events that have just happened. We'll see if that holds true in Orlando or doesn't hold true. We also see, we saw some rogue decks pop up. So Volibear Aurora did well. Lee Sin did well. There was a Garen that had 6 wins, a Jinx that had 6 wins. Yasuo obviously making top 64 with Gale wins. Teemo performing incredibly well as well. Teemo has turned into a deck that a lot of people are essentially one-tricking, if you're familiar with that League of Legends term, where people are just fully committed to Teemo. They're only playing Teemo. I know Gorica, the best of Teemo, has been playing Teemo at our locals for the entire time the game has been released. Played Kai'Sa the first week, I think, and then immediately shifted to Teemo and hasn't looked back since. Very, very strong deck in the right
I want to say he might have played Teemo week 1.
It might have been week 1. I might have gotten that wrong.
Oh, no. I will tell you a funny story with him. It was game 3 of locals. We were both 2-0. I'm sitting there. It's like it's my turn 5, last turn of the game. And we're tied at points. If I don't get another point, game over with the roll. I'm thinking I only had 6 runes after I flipped my 2. I'm like, I can't accelerate a watcher out, so I need a sprite mother to have a ready sprite. Lo and behold, I flip over a sprite
Nice.
mother into a sprite and I win the game. So that's that I can say I beat the best of Teemo, but no. Gorka did great with Teemo. It was really fun to watch in the indie Discord, just see him. Oh, he's good. He's getting there. He can do it. He can do it. And then he finally does it. Same with Gale. It's just like
Yeah.
awesome performance by both of those guys.
Oh, me personally, I'm putting the top 2 Teemos right now in my mind are Prismaticism and Gorica. So Gorica actually also topped a 5K before Vegas as well. Or I'm sorry, before Houston as well.
Mhm.
So top the 5K directly into top 64ing best of Teemo in this bracket. So keep an eye out for Gorica and Prismaticism. Prismaticism also has been pretty much one-tricking Teemo this entire time to great success on the
Mhm.
deck. So both those players, people to keep an eye out for. Looking at Ari, we didn't really discuss Ari in our last segment, and that's kind of because she went the way of Set, right? No representation in the top 64, despite being the 5th most represented deck in the entire tournament. And that is not a good sign, unfortunately, for Ari. But I will say a lot of Ari players are still refining that deck list, still trying to figure out the way they want to go with it. So we're probably still going to see that deck hold a significant portion of the meta just as it has now. But in my opinion, I think it's probably going to swap with Misfortune. So I think Misfortune is going to move up after that conversion rate percentage, which it absolutely should, right? If that deck has that performance, it should be moving up the list. People should be considering it and looking at it more. It's probably going to move up. So I would put Ari up there with Misfortune up there with Teemo. I think Ari is going to shift down just a little bit in representation. And I think that Victor is going to move up and Yasuo is going to move up. So a lot of people excited for Gale wins Yasuo deck list after Houston. So I think Yasuo will move up just a little bit, probably get some more representation. Darius performed okay. Not super crazy, but I do think we're also going to see some copycat Lee Sin decks copying Jeff Jones's philosophy. Very good deck into Kaisa, worked really well for Jeff. Jeff, of course, is one of the best card game players in the world, so anything's going to work for him, to be completely honest. But
And I do want to mention, I believe that yes, here you can see it. I was showing the wrong one the entire time. Here we
oh
go.
no,
Here we go. Well, we have a little bit of an update. Actually, Volibear got into top 64. We had
yes,
Elise in, so I knew he had posted this, but I didn't realize he posted a new sheet along with the BS. Here's an updated sheet of what that looks like. But yeah, we got a lot of still. I mean, see a Volibear in top 64. Awesome.
yeah, very, very cool. The Aurora Volibear list, something to look out for. There's been a couple, I know E3. So if you guys are familiar with E3 Yu-Gi-Oh, the Edison format content creator, they have a new Riftbound channel called E3 TCG. Go check them out. They posted a great in-depth video on different Volibear deck lists and specifically highlighted the Aurora deck list that was able to make top 64. Great content creator in the Yu-Gi-Oh space, so they'll be great for Riftbound as well. Definitely a super cool deck. I recommend going and checking it out. You might want to be prepared for it just in case. There's some developments happening over there in the Volibear community that I think make the deck fairly competitive with some of the top stuff.
Yeah. I think all in all, this was a great event. I think we're going to see a lot of change in the meta. I know for both of us being you've played all their decks. Me or just kind of I played Victor. I've been a Victor one trick this entire time, but you're also your main competitive deck is Victor. This is a promising sign for us going into just the rest of this set.
Yeah.
Just to see how Victor is going to perform. But yeah, I'm really proud of just the entire community in this event and how this went. Didn't really hear any like bad things come out of that event, which is really nice. All around positive. Uh, Positive why can't I think of the word positive messages, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
From Houston. But yeah, any other last thoughts on our first North American regional?
Yeah, very last thought. Congratulations, Frodan, winning that Meta Leona. I'm so jealous. I want it so badly. Incredible performance on stream from Frodan, able to take down a victory in the Annie matchup. Those stuns putting in work. Frodan, a content creator in the TFT space, but far before TFT was a excellent Hearthstone caster and an all-around great card game player. So special congratulations to Frodan. I want to live in your shoes and have that Meta Leona at some point.
Well, after this, we're gonna head into a new segment. We have a whole new little, I don't even know what to call this, display here on the show. We're talking about our favorite cards from Spiritforged. We know that we kind of started this show right around when Spiritforged reveals ended. So we're like, okay, let's give it a second to breathe, see what we like. But we're gonna talk about our favorite, each of our favorite leaders. We're gonna talk about our favorite new battlefield, and then we have chosen 5 cards from the new set that these are our favorites. They're not they're not the best cards, but they're our favorites that we're most excited to use. I'm going to start off with Renata Glass. I think people are going to realize I am pretty much a blue-yellow player. I love my tokens. I love going wide and be able to just say, can you get rid of every single one of these things? And I think gold is going to be really good. I think in the few games that we played, Eli, we were playing, obviously, you chose Sivir, which you'll talk about here in a second, both the gold generating matchups. It really changes how you play a game. Because
Definitely.
if you're not having to recycle runes, you basically there were so many times where I was not having to recycle runes, could hold for time warp. So I think gold's gonna be really fun. I really think Renata, I don't think she's gonna be the best. I think we do have other decks that are going to be better, but I think she's gonna be very fun to be able to mess with all of the gold stuff and be able to manipulate your resources that way and be able to hopefully help you get the wins. But Eli, you, sir, are excited about Sivir. Talk to us why.
Yeah, I'm excited about Sivir for a lot of different reasons. Primarily, Purple just got some great cards this set. Purple got some insane cards. I think Cold Shot.
Purple, best color of the game.
Yeah, I think Cold
Even
Shot
in
is one
set
of the
one.
best cards that they've printed so far in the entirety of the game. Like, just a absolutely crazy card. The interaction that it has with Ezreal is super, super solid. Ezreal, one of the really good purple cards that's been revealed. Spoiler alert, you might see that later on the list, if I remember correctly. But Sivir, I don't think it's going to be the best legend in the game, but certainly going to be one of the more fun. I had one game where I was down to 6 cards left in my deck on like turn 6 or 7. It was just insane.
Did you just make a 6/7? Just
yeah. Oh, stop! Not again. But no, very, very cool legend. I'm excited to see her play. I will also say Punch First is a hell of a drug. That card is insane.
I don't like it.
Non-defiable +5 to anything. It just goes crazy.
Yeah, especially with the gold, you don't have to pay to recycle. That's great.
Right.
It's great. So I guess Eli and I are just gold hungry? Question mark. Probably.
I guess.
Seems like it.
Yeah. A little bit of Midas touch action.
Yeah. Moving on. This is my most excited about Battlefield. Eli sent this to me a few weeks ago, like right when it came out, and I'm like, okay, I want to use this for something. I don't know what I want to use it for. I think it fits into Volibear pretty well. This is probably going to be a deck a Battlefield that we see some of these Aurora decks using to kind of hold off the point total, because in reality you can hold this for as long as you want, but if you're not able to hold it and then turn 3 comes around, more or less it's going to be an interesting to see where you are. But I think this is actually really good to kind of help combat things. These aggro decks are going to be really interesting, where they can only score on one battlefield, which I think this will definitely be. This is, if you want a tech for Annie, here you go. So yeah, I like Forgotten Mountain. I know you, or Forgotten Monument. I know you also like this, Eli. So do you have any thoughts on it?
I do. I like this card a lot. I think it's a godsend for ramp decks, but not only ramp decks, it's also a godsend for holding decks. Your opponent not being able to score there until their 3rd turn, they're not really incentivized to break your hold, right? They're not getting any points for it or anything. So even if you're not getting points, but you're a deck like Ari and you can just set up on this battlefield and kind of hold strong, that's a super interesting idea to kind of play around in these decks. So yeah, it might be the de facto new best battlefield rather than Aspirant's Climb, and you might just play this at Aspirant's Climb in the same types of decks. So very interested to see how this works. My battlefield, though, Hall of Legends. When you conquer here, you may pay 1 energy to ready your legend. I think this battlefield, really cool. Really, really cool battlefield. A lot of legend application that's already in the game, but looking forward, it's just infinitely scalable with whatever legends get released, right? And so rotation, it's just going to be good for any legend that taps and really wants to use its ability more than once per turn. Of course, I'm going to give my honorary shout out to Victor here.
Yeah.
Conquer here, pay 1, pay another 1, make a guy, 2 guys per turn. That's pretty good. But there's a lot of other legends that it also gets some pretty immense value with. Set, obviously, not going to have the best interaction since it's already going to ready when you conquer. But everything else, there's a lot of decks that tap that legend that would really like to bring it back for some specific scenarios. So Hall of Legends, really cool battlefield. I think we're going to see it in a wide variety of decks.
Yeah, I definitely think this is going to go into Victor. I think at least we'll test it. I think especially when you're playing cards like Imperial Decree, I think that's been my go-to top end card to be able to kind of help deal with a lot of these decks that have the higher might totals. Just sometimes you need one more recruit and you can't have it, but this just lets you do it if you're able to conquer and able to do what you need to do. So yeah, Hall of Legends, very excited about it.
I think my favorite legend with this is probably going to be Darius.
Yeah.
Because you're spending an energy and then you're getting the energy back anyway.
Profit.
So, yeah.
TCG
profit.
Players love free things.
It's definitely profit if there's a way to break that in some way. So we'll have to keep an eye on that one if we get a way to break it in the future.
All right, moving in to our favorite cards. These are gonna be the first 5 are gonna be my favorite cards. Not in any order. This is just kind of how we threw it into OBS and uploading this. But Wages of Pain. I really like Wages of Pain because 1, it gives blue something that it doesn't have, damage. You are able to hide it, so you can flip over this, and if you're trying to deal with some of these bigger units, you can deal 3. It's in a showdown, so that damage is going to stay until the showdown's done. So yeah, I think it just and you also get a gold, so like profit. So I really like Wages of Pain. I think this is going to be an include in a lot of decks that are using gold, that are trying to kind of use that to help. And even if you're not using gold, this still goes into blue decks quite well. I think this is a Teemo card off the bat. I think I see this definitely hopping into Teemo, but I'll just ask you, Eli, any thoughts on Wages of Pain?
Yeah, for those Spotify listeners, Wages of Pain is a hidden card. It's a spell, 3 energy. It's an action. Deal 3 to unit at battlefield, play a gold gear token exhausted. Very cool card. I agree. I'm interested to see what the application is. I think mostly I'm excited for it as just a mix up to hidden cards that currently exist in the game, right? So any hidden card that gets released is future compounding on the hidden cards that already exist. You are just making more options to play around for your opponent, which eventually will overwhelm their mental stack, which is a huge part of card games. So really interested to see if Wages of Pain makes deck lists. I think if it does, it might be a one of, depending on how important that gold is. But getting a free power is nothing to scoff at. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it at more copies.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, we have Renata Glass, the chosen champion for most Renata lists. I think I've seen some people that want to use the yellow one as a sideboard option to bring it in if you want your gold to enter ready. But 1, I love this art, and that's why I chose this one. This is the alt art versus the original one. This is just beautiful. Probably my favorite art in the set. But I think this card is so... It's something, obviously something we haven't seen, gaining a point without having to actually challenge or be anything. If you're able to play her at a location and then hopefully she survives a turn, you can time warp and then like I think I won from 3 using I held 2, I moved Renata in, or what did I do? I held 2, I time warped.
You held 2, you played Renata
at a location.
Yeah, at the location from your bench, and then you time warped.
I time warped using gold. Yes, that makes sense. So like you can do that. You can win. Like Renata gives you the ability to win from 3, and being able to have this score point is really good. Obviously, have to wait a turn for it to ready, but still really good card. Eli, any thoughts on Renata?
Yeah, importantly, that draw ability there. It's a 5 energy unit, 4 might, has 2 abilities, 1 and a power, draw 1, 1 and 4 power, tap her, to score that point.
4 power.
Is it 4 power?
Yeah,
Or
it's 4
5
power. It's 4 power.
Sure. I think it's 5 power. Yeah, no, it's 4 power.
It's 4 power.
It's 4 power. Sorry, guys. Apologies. Yeah, 1 and 4 power. Or it's 4 energy. 4 energy and 4 power. There we go. My gosh. She can only be used while she's out of battlefield, but importantly, the first ability to draw is not a tap ability, right? So you can use that as many times as you want. So being able to draw for 2 is just super relevant in a control deck like Renata. I think it's a really good champion unit. I think we're going to see it quite a bit.
Yeah. I think it's also one of those cards that can be put into other decks as well that are looking to hopefully get that point a little later in the game when they need it. But moving on to my next card is Ezreal Prodigy. We
there he is.
About Eli's homeboy. Just does so well with all these purple cards. When you play me, discard 1, then draw 2. And like you said, talking about Called Shot, which is going to be your card in a little bit. Optional additional cost you pay costs 1 or a power less. So you're able to basically play Called Shot for 1 power instead of 2 to be able to repeat, if I'm not mistaken how that works.
Correct.
For those listening, it is a 3 energy, 1 power unit, 3 might, and just helps your cycle through your deck so well. And especially combined with all of these other purple cards. Like you guys said, you're gonna be, if you're playing purple next set, you are going to be able to draw through your deck. And there's just something we don't necessarily have the ability to do this set. We don't have those cards that really let you cycle. I don't think I think maybe one time I've gotten through half of my deck while playing. So it's definitely going to change how purple players play. I think purple is like hands down the best color in the game. So yeah, Ezreal Prodigy, really like him. Eli, any thoughts?
Yeah, for those Miracle Rogue players from Hearthstone, Ezreal makes a lot of your decks play just like Miracle Rogue. It's really interesting. Discard 1, draw 2, already synergizing with Scrap Heap that is currently showing up in purple decks, right? So that's a huge boon. Discard 1, draw 3 is just absolutely absurd for Ezreal, on top of the fact that you might be drawing into that Called Shot. 0 power to play Called Shot. You just need to pretty much sack a gold, which you'll probably have. If you don't have a gold, 1 power to look at the top 4, draw 2. That's insane value. Ezreal's going to be a staple in a lot of purple decks.
I agree. Also probably going to be an expensive card though. So if you get them in your starter events, don't trade it, because I think this price, especially being a higher rarity card, is going to go up in price. Next one. One of the best 2 drops we have, Plundering Poro. When I conquer, play a gold gear token exhausted, 2 power, or 2 energy, and then 2 might. Most of the time, you're going to be able to use this to, if you're going first, play this. Your opponent does their turn. Obviously, nothing on your opponent's battlefields. You can easily get a gold right off the bat. So, and then if you're able to somehow hold with them and you're playing them in Renata, that's another gold. But this just takes the spot of so many different 2 drops in blue decks, I think. So yeah, Plundering Poro, great card. I think Eli, you'd echo the same.
Yeah, definitely. I think this card is a premier 2 drop. Yeah. I think this card is absolutely fantastic in the 2 drop slot, and we're probably going to see him quite a bit in these blue decks.
Moving on to your cards, Eli, I want to talk about Yone.
Indeed. So we got Yone Blade Master here. 5 energy, 1 orange power, 5 might. It has Weapon Master. When you play me, you may equip one of your equipments to me for 1 power less, even if it's already attacked or attached rather. And when I conquer to an open battlefield, meaning nothing is at the battlefield when it conquers, deal damage equal to my might to an enemy unit in a base. So I think it's the inverse of the current Yasuo, right? So green Yasuo going in makes sense with the Wind brothers. They are brothers canonically in the lore. When Yasuo goes in, he deals his might to a unit at the battlefield. When Yone goes in, Yone deals the might to a unit at the base. And that is a really interesting effect. Something that we don't have a lot of in the game right now is units that can just dispatch things in the base. So Yone, if you can get him into an open battlefield with something like a purple deck, you fight or flight their card back to the base, you move the Yone in, Yone will just snipe the card off that you just moved back from the base, and he'll survive that combat, right? So a lot of tricks that can happen with Yone. I think it's a really cool card. I don't think a lot of decks are going to be able to utilize him, but the ones that do utilize him, you're going to feel the impact.
Yeah, I definitely most of these cards are coming from the decks that we've been playing. But yeah, like most of the time when Eli was able to kind of push my stuff back or I left something, uh, like as soon as Yon comes down, if you have something that's 5 or less, you're gonna be feeling it. But if you're able to play Yon, wait a turn, and then you get punch up, you get or any of these other things that add might. If he's coming in and is able to deal 9 to something on the bench, that's going to take care of most of the stuff in the game. So
Right.
very good card. Very agree with you. This definitely decks that are able to take advantage of Yon are going to do very well.
Oh, I love this guy. Oh, I love this guy. The talk of the season in League of Legends right now just died off canonically in League. So rip Zinzao, but he's here. It's a 3 energy, 1 yellow power, 4 might unit that says tank, and I enter ready if you have 2 or more other units in your base. I think this guy is insane in these go wide Victor decks or any kind of strategy in yellow that has more than 1 unit in base consistently.
Mhm.
Coming in ready is amazing, right? You're going in, no accelerate costs. I don't have to pay anything additional for this. It's only 3 energy, and I get to move him in immediately if I have 2 recruits chilling in base. It's a great follow up play to the turn 1 Victor 2 drop plus 1 drop. So you play the Zinzao for 3 on 4, and then you're going in there. You can play him to the battlefield because he has tank. He dodges Falling Star because he's 4 might. Just everything about this card I am in love with for that strategy.
Yeah, I definitely agree. When you're playing these recruits, you're having a lot of stuff on your bench. Like you said, the tank is just going to be awesome to kind of be able to protect things. Uh, Maybe this, I don't know, maybe this brings back Altar of Unity because he's a tank. I don't know. That's just my thought. That might be my fun little Victor play if I want to play a little something more fun. Uh, but yeah, I like Zinzao. I think definitely like being a Victor player as well. I think this fits perfectly into that list. And any deck that is really trying to go wide and kind of overwhelm your opponent with as many characters as possible. Next thing.
Yeah, we've got the other legend in purple here. Fizz Trickster, 3 energy, 1 purple power, 3 might. When you play me, you may play a spell from your trash with energy cost no more than 3 energy, ignoring its energy cost. Recycle that spell after you play it. Really, really
So good.
cool card, especially when you're doing a lot of discarding with things like Ezreal or with inverted timelines, maybe. Speaking of which, Fizz can cast inverted timelines. Fun fact. Doing a little bit of a mill strategy there if you really want to. But Fizz
Yes,
is a
Bill.
super cool card. Incredibly, incredibly versatile. So
Mhm.
that's the part that I like about it the most. You can cast your Fight or Flight, cast your Rebukes, whatever ends up in your yard, it's coming back with Fizz. I think this card's
Mhm.
incredible.
Yeah, I think just so many purple spells that are so low to the ground and have a very low cost that you can just keep doing over and over. But then you pair it with like this is gonna go to Yasuo right away. I think this is going to be like you get your defies, all that stuff back, your charms if you really want it. Very good card. I think is going to be one of the better ones. I think it's gonna be a top 10 card that we see out of this set, just as how much it changes and how much it impacts and make these may I think it's going to obviously help a lot of decks that are going to be new, but is going to make a lot of purple decks that much better just because of what they are trying to play and what they are trying to do already off the bat.
Yeah.
Next card we have.
Called Shot. We called this one out quite a bit before this happened, but I think this is one of the best cards in the entire game. It is 0 energy. Don't gotta pay a thing for this other than 1 power. It is an action and it has repeats. So you may pay an additional cost to repeat this card's effect. The additional cost being another purple power. Look at the top 2 cards of your main deck, draw 1 and recycle the other. This is stack deck -1,
Mhm.
right? So stack deck sees 3 cards for 1 energy. This sees 2 cards for 0 energy, but a power instead. However, that repeat, especially when you have Ezreal on board, as we were alluding to a little bit earlier, you're going to pay 1 power, see the top 4 draw 2. And it's recurable by Fizz if you really need to dig even more. You pay
Mhm.
some gold for this, you're fizzing it up, you're digging through that deck, you're finding some nocturnes, maybe. Card is excellent.
Yes, very good card. Obviously, like Eli said, going to be one of the best cards in the meta. If this like this is, in my opinion, this is a card that comes like set 4 or set 5. But to see it in set 2 is kind of crazy. It's going to really affect these purple decks. I mean, so many good purple cards. Probably can't say enough about how good purple is going to be. For the final card we have for you guys, Eli.
Yeah, a little bit of a different one here. Going into green for the first time, dipping our toes into the color pie. 3 energy, 1 green power. We got Jana Savior, 3 might on her.
It's Jana. I thought it was Yana.
Yana, no, Jana. People
Yeah.
pronounce it differently. It's reaction though. It's a unit with reaction and a simple way to Shin. Play anytime. When you play me, heal your units here, then move all enemy units from here to its base. Or I'm sorry, move one enemy unit from here to its base. So this is very thematic to Janna in League of Legends, right? She has an ultimate that's a really good peel ultimate that pushes people away and heals current allies that are within the range of the ultimate. So incredibly thematic card, very cool design from that perspective. But I think it has some really interesting application with reflexive trigger cards like Falling Star or Cathian Rain. So in between those reflexive triggers, I can drop Jana and heal all of my units here. Right? So you go to Falling Star, my guy. The first trigger goes, it deals 3 damage, say to my 6 might unit. I can then, in reaction to the second trigger of Falling Star, Jana, it'll ping for 3. It won't die because of how the reflexive trigger works, right? And then my Jana's on the battlefield as well as you not killing. So that is a 1 for 0, right? You're Falling Star for my 0 cards. And then I've got this 3 might unit on the board as well to continue to pressure. So I think that Jana is really, really interesting. And if we see some more reflexive trigger damage cards in a similar vein to a Cathian Rain and Falling Star, could see a lot of play in green decks, but time will tell. It'll have to be the right situation for her.
Yeah, definitely one of those cards that, like you said, will come if it's warranted. Will come into the meta if it's needed. If it people decide like, yeah, we need to really combat a lot of these damage spells, and I mean, just to have the ability to play a 3 might unit in this format. I know like a lot of things are not that. Uh, we do have obviously our top end, but it's just, I think it's a good card. I agree.
Yeah.
I think it being able to get 3 more, it really affects people's math when they have planned out their entire turn and then you add 3 more into it.
Especially since you're pushing something back too.
Exactly.
And also fighter flights. Yeah.
A question for our resident rules expert. If Falling Star deals 3 damage to a 2 might unit and then you play on it, can you heal that, or is that unit already dead?
The unit will have 3 damage counters assigned to it and will be dead before you are able to react with Jana. Correct.
That is what I thought. So, yeah, good card. I realized one of my cards didn't get uploaded into this cycle. It was Jace, Man of Progress.
Oh yeah,
good card. We don't have to talk about it now, but really like how he's going to impact a lot of these blue decks with what he can do and his viability in the meta. But that are all of the cards that we have. We're gonna really hype up set 2 closer towards probably the end of January. Start to really dive deep into what that meta could look like. But now we're gonna head back to our little website. We're gonna talk about our giveaway from last week. If you guys did listen to episode 1, we are giving away a Master Yi Proving Grounds deck list. We had 6 people comment answering the question on what deck they've been playing in set 1. So this is going to be first person that wins. We're not going to kind of go down. The first person this lands on is going to win the Master Yi deck. And if you guys want to win the Lux deck from Proving Grounds, what you guys need to do is you guys need to drop a comment. Same thing, subscribe to the YouTube if you've already subscribed. Awesome. We need to comment down below what Spiritforged leader you are most excited about playing and why. Is there a new strategy you guys want to try out? Is this a favorite character from League that you've had? But what Spiritforged leader excites you the most? But Eli, can we get a drum roll, please, to decide who is going to win the Master Yi deck?
Absolutely. Come on.
Here we go.
First deck giveaway is gonna go. We got Nicholas going to win this giveaway. Nicholas.
There we go.
Yep, you will be reached out to. If you respond before the next episode, you will be the grand champion winner of our Master Yi deck. If not, we'll re-roll the Master Yi deck if we don't get a response on the same episode as the Lux. So make sure to comment down below exactly what Teddy said before. We're going to spread this giveaway around. We got 2 more decks to give away after this. Garen coming up next week. Yeah, you won 6 wins at Houston. There is a Garen deck that is pretty viable, pretty interesting. And then, of course, our grand prize, the Annie Proving Grounds deck, going to be given away on our 4th episode of the podcast. But hey, guys, thank you so much for joining us today on the Super Mega Riftbound Podcast. Teddy and I just have an absolute blast filming this. Great time talking to all of you. Any closing thoughts, Teddy?
I don't know. I'm at a loss for words with how this game has been going so far. I think it's been an awesome community to be a part of. I know, obviously, a new TCG, you never really know where it's going to go, what the community is going to react, and how it's just going to be as a whole. But always has been nice conversations with people at these events here in Indy. Talking with people on Twitter and the interwebs has been really awesome. Just be able to meet people that are hyped about this game. Like you said, it's earlier in the episode, it's a melting pot of TCGs, which I think is just awesome to be able to see all of these different players coming from different games. And sooner or later, we're going to see players that make their mark in Riftbound, and that's going to be their first game. And in 10 years, they're going to try a new game and say, hey, that player is a really good Riftbound player, which I think is really cool to see. But yeah, Eli, where can everyone find you? I know, obviously, we have our Twitters below us and our nameplates, but where can people reach out to you if they have any questions about the game?
Yeah, definitely reach out on Discord, Leumer. Shoot me a friend request, Lemur on there. Once again, I was 10 years old. Don't make fun of me. I spelled it wrong. It's fine. I'm going to remind everyone every time because it's fine. It's Lemur, pronounced Lemur. But you can reach out to me on Discord. Reach out to me on X. I'll answer any questions you guys have. Always happy to talk to you guys. Or leave a comment down on YouTube. I'm always going to respond to those as well. Teddy and I have been tag teaming those, responding to every single person that comments. So any of those places, give me a shout and I'll get in touch.
Well, there you go. You guys can find me on Twitter at LimitedTeddy. Again, I love limited formats, so that's where that name comes from. I'm not limited in any capacity. I'm allergic to barley, so that's my one limitation, which is weird.
A huge limitation.
I know. It's not a bad, so I can still like have a drink, but if I drink too much, then I don't really know what happens. I haven't really gone that far. But anyways, this is a Riftbound podcast. But you guys can find Super Mega Riftbound on Twitter, or I guess X, as SM Riftbound, and then on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Reddit at Super Mega Riftbound. If you just search it up on Google, we're bound to pop up. If there's anyone else with our name, that'll be interesting, but I don't think there is.
No, it should be fine. Also, keep an eye out on that TikTok this week. I'm going to film some content there at PPG Orlando for some shorts content. So keep an eye out for that. I'll try to get some talks with some players, see if we can do something there. But very excited for that event, of course, coming up this weekend. Keep an eye out for results on. There's a 5K Friday, 10K Saturday, and a 5K Sunday. So going to be a lot of deck lists coming out of this one. Should be a very fun event. Make sure to keep an eye out.
Yeah, and if you guys like the podcast, remember, leave a like, follow us on all of our accounts. We appreciate over 500 views on episode 1, which is just awesome. We are super appreciative of that. We can't wait to see where this game goes. We'll see you guys for episode 3. We'll talk about Eli's performance at PPG Orlando and a bunch of other fun things. But yeah, that was episode 2. We hope you guys enjoyed. We hope you guys enjoyed watching Houston. We will see you guys next week.
See you guys.